Zoom has over 300 million daily users, and the sad part is most of us are still making really embarrassing mistakes when it comes to Zoom, and these mistakes are making us seem unprofessional and unreliable. So in this video, what I want to do is break down 7 of the most common embarrassing mistakes that you might be making, and by the end of this video, you are going to come across way more professional and competent in every single Zoom meeting. So let's get into it. So the first mistake that people make on Zoom, and possibly one of the most common for people that are leading a Zoom meeting, is being afraid of silences. We get so used to the dynamics and the flow of normal face-to-face conversations where when I end a sentence or I ask a question, somebody hops right in and they continue to speak. But on Zoom, we have to understand that things are not going to happen so instantaneously. Oftentimes, there is a delay, so when I ask a question, it might be 2, 3, 4 seconds before the question is received and somebody on the other end is ready to answer it. And aside from that, oftentimes it's just harder for people to know when they can jump in because they don't want to interrupt. And so instead of just continually talking over and over again and reiterating the same questions and points, you need to just allow there to be a pause, allow there to be silence, and so other people know, hey, it's my turn to jump in. And if you can do this, you're going to come across as a lot more confident, and your messages and your ideas are going to be a lot more succinct because you're not going to fall into that trap of repeating yourself over and over again. The second mistake that people make on Zoom is assuming that everybody wants to be on video. Yes, being able to have video on and see each other face to face is always going to be more effective, but there are some meetings, especially quick or spur of the moment meetings, that just don't require video and so don't require the other people in the call to turn on their video. If you want to have your video on so you can express yourself better, that's fantastic. But what I will often do is keep my camera off to see if the people on the other end would like to have theirs on or off. For me, I'm mostly doing client calls, and so sometimes this is a nice way to just not put pressure on them if they don't want to have their video on. The third mistake that people make is dropping a bunch of information and links in the chat within a Zoom call and then not saving that information and losing everything that was talked about. One thing that I like to do is everything that is put in the chat, I'll make sure that I have that somewhere else so I can copy and paste and send that in a follow-up email. Just make sure that you're not losing information that was found in the chat because that's going to be awkward having to go back to the people in the Zoom call and ask them, hey, what was that link or what was that resource that you sent? This is going to make it a lot more effective. The fourth mistake, and one that can be really awkward, especially if you're working with an employer or a client, is recording a Zoom call without consent. Oftentimes it's easy just to click that record button and just think, hey, I'll be able to watch this video over later on. But what you don't realize is everybody else in the call has to approve and say that they're comfortable with you recording. Everyone's going to get that notification. So if you don't let them know or ask them, hey, is it okay if I record this video? It might make the other people feel uncomfortable and they might not open up as much during the Zoom call. Mistake number 5 is not setting good expectations of what the dynamics of this Zoom call should be. Is this a presentation? Is it an open discussion? Who is leading this call? Who do you expect to pipe in and answer questions? If you're not setting these expectations at the beginning of the call, nobody's really going to know where they fit in to this conversation. But if you let them know, hey, I don't want to speak the whole time, and so I'm going to expect you guys to pipe in, share ideas, and this is going to be kind of a 50-50 chat, or it's going to be an equally distributed conversation. This way people know, hey, I can't just mute my mic and sit back and say nothing. So by setting these expectations, people will know how they should interact during the call. Mistake number 6, and one that probably bugs me more than any other, is having Zoom calls when they're just not necessary. Because Zoom calls are so easy and so convenient, oftentimes we have meetings when we just don't need to, and then these meetings drag on way longer than they ever should. And so what I always do is ask myself, okay, like, do I feel like we need a meeting? Yes or no? Okay, is this something that could be quickly resolved in an email or in a screen recording that I could just send my team and they can check it out later? Because if so, this is going to be a lot more effective than trying to align everybody's schedules, get everybody on a Zoom call, have to spend a few minutes saying our hellos and small talk, and things just go way longer than they ever should. And so don't have meetings if they're not absolutely necessary. Your employers, your employees, your clients, everyone you work with will thank you if you can cut down on the number of Zoom calls that you have. And the seventh and final mistake is one that can be really, really awkward and it can make you feel really uncomfortable, and that is not directing your questions to specific people. I've had this a lot where I'm directing a call or some type of office hours, and I'll throw a question out there and nobody will answer. And I'll tell myself, okay, Peyton, you've got to be comfortable with silence. But nobody ever answers the question. And the reason is the question is just laying out there in the middle and nobody knows who should pick it up. Nobody knows who should take it. And so rather than putting people in this awkward situation where they just don't know whether or not they should answer, direct your questions at someone. Maybe you pick out 3 or 4 people. You say, okay, John, Jacob, Sally, and Sue, this question is for you guys. What do you think about this? And then they know, okay, I better turn my mic on. I better listen up and I better be ready to answer this question. And so by being more direct with the things that you ask, you're going to get a lot better responses and you're not going to be stuck in that awkward situation where you have to say, well, okay, like nobody has an answer. I'll just go ahead and answer this question. So again, it's going to make these calls go much more smoothly. It's going to make you feel like you're in charge and like you're able to lead a successful call. And it's going to make everybody else in your call respect you. So if you found value in any of these things that we shared, please be sure to hit the like button down below. If you like videos like this that help you with common tools like Zoom or other tools that you use on a daily basis, please let me know down in the comments and we'll catch you in the next video.